This is episode 244 of How About That Cigar, recorded live at the Corona Cigar Studio. On this episode, we talk to Ryan Mills from Amber and Ash about whiskey pairing with cigars and much more. Please take a minute to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Now on with the show.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
How about that cigar?
How about that cigar, Matt?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 244 of How About That Cigar Live. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, among others. Thank you so much for being with us. You may see a difference on your screen. Do not adjust your set, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing wrong with your picture. We have a special guest host in the show, Andrew Tolzman. Welcome back to How About That Cigar, brother.
Thank you. It's been a while.
A long time.
It's been a while. I mean, life has thrown a few curveballs. I haven't even been in the studio for... Things have changed. I think I mentioned that when I walked in. It's
the studio looks different than last time you were here.
Well, I mean, I've obviously seen it, but I haven't been here. So it's good to be back. I am not Raul.
Yes.
I am not...
This is not the Raul you're looking for.
Well, Raul is on the screen right now.
Hi,
Raul is. Hi, Raul.
Oh, good evening, everyone.
And that mystery voice you're hearing is, of course, our fantastic, incredible producer, Justin. Justy Smoke, my friend. How's it going?
What is going down, everyone?
Well, this evening, a lot of spirits are going to be going down. And a lot of, maybe not too much, just enough.
Like dead people or what?
Just spirits, distilled spirits.
Oh,
in particular.
It's that kind of party.
That kind of party.
Okay,
So
I got
exactly
you. I see
right.
what you're throwing down.
So we have a fantastic special guest coming up in just a few minutes. If you would, guys, as always, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you're drinking. Let us know what you're smoking. Share that info with us.
And be sure to smash that like button and all those buttons and the notification bell on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're tuning in.
All of the buttons. All
subscribe.
of the
I think that's the big one.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Especially if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, what on earth is wrong with you? So please subscribe. We really do appreciate that. We have a great special guest coming on in just a few minutes. But as always, a little Minnesota sports. Not terrible Minnesota sports news to share as usual, but not awesome Minnesota sports news, I guess.
It would have been more awesome had the Wolves, repeated their game 1 and 2 performance, but instead they decided to do the standard Minnesota sports thing and let us all down.
I won't go as far as to say let us down yet, but it is typical Minnesota sports fashion where it's they give you a little hope, and then so they absolutely slaughtered the Nuggets in the first 2 games.
The reigning champs.
With
the MVP.
On the Denver court.
Yes.
And then we come back to Minnesota for games 3 and 4, and it was like a completely different
And everyone
team.
was jacked, right? Because it was, the first time in 20 years or something like that we've done anything like this substantial.
Yeah. And prior to that, we swept the Suns, and I did a lot of research on this. As far as I'm aware, it is the first time in history that a professional Minnesota sports team swept a multi-game playoff series.
In the playoffs, yeah. And it had to be the Wolves. It could have been,
it could have been the Twins,
the Wild, or the Twins,
Wild.
Or, sports we really care about.
I know.
So can I say there's always next year?
Well,
that's the standard.
Or is there still?
It's tied up. It's tied up. It's tied up 2 games apiece. So it's the best of 7 series.
Oh.
So there's still a chance. There's still a chance.
They play tomorrow night.
Okay. Yeah, tomorrow night.
I think it's like 9:30 Central.
Yeah,
is when they play. And I shouldn't have said, plenty of people care about basketball, but I'm a Minnesota kid, born and bred. I know you're not really.
Not born and bred, no.
So it's hockey for me, right?
Yeah.
And for being the state of hockey and not having a Stanley Cup is just depressing.
Yeah. And so hockey is, I really, really enjoy hockey a lot, but everybody knows my first love as far as sports goes is baseball. Speaking of baseball, the Twins are kind of on a little bit of an upswing. They've won 16 of their last 18 games.
Which is fantastic because they started the season
terrible,
poorly.
Oh, what a terrible start to this. So they really have now, granted, most of those 18 games have been against poor teams like the Angels or the White Sox.
We'll take it though.
But we will take
We'll take it. The test comes tomorrow night.
Exactly.
I think Aaron Judge comes to town.
Yeah. Well, though Judge has not been playing very well this season.
But in typical Minnesota sports fashion, I am predicting that he will, I guess, light up tomorrow. I don't know. I hope he doesn't. I'll be there. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm first Twins game of the year.
But how awesome is it that we're here in the studio with the big door open, not having the heater on, it's actually summer. It actually feels like summer.
Mid-May. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Finally. Although no complaints. This was the mildest winter in the history of the state of Minnesota.
Probably.
We got really lucky. So, it's been good. But we have to do this evening's, and we're going to fly through Spirit of Mystery this evening because we're going to talk a lot about spirits. Spirit of Mystery is always brought to us by Postania Cigars. Do you find yourself unsatisfied with the top 10 list from How About That Cigar? Are you wondering how cigars from Postania didn't make the HBTC list, but found their way onto other lists? Fortunately, you can be reminded every week with this Postania Cigars advertisement. Postania Cigars, the #1 unranked cigar in the industry. All right, as always, Spirit of Mystery. So what we did a little something different this evening, since Raul normally brings me a spirit in a sample bottle.
The spirit I brought, we cracked open right away. So
yeah, and we did have a little pregame beverage. But what I had Andrew do was just turn around in my meager collection back here and just pick a bottle, and I left the room for a minute. He picked a bottle and gave me a little pour of it. So just on the general side, what kind of spirit are we talking about here, Andrew?
It hails from Scotland.
Oh, does it hail from Scotland?
Aye.
All right, yeah. So I'm glad because before I did smell this beverage before we went live, and it does definitely smell like Scotch. So I'm glad I at least called that part. It's floral, grassy, barely the tiniest little, maybe citrus. I don't know. Let's give it a little taste. All right. It's gentle. It's kind of milder, gentle. There is some funk to it, but not like it doesn't feel like it's overly peated. It feels a little milder. It's not too boozy. It's not medicinal.
It's easy.
It's easy to drink. I would say this is a Scotch that would be good for a beginning Scotch drinker. I would think somebody who hasn't approached Scotch very much in their life and wants to
Everybody needs a little Scotch in their life.
Everybody needs a little Scotch in their life.
I would venture to say your newer Scotch drinkers probably aren't reaching for this right away.
Because of the brand name, you think?
The brand name is recognizable, but it's a higher priced bottle, if memory serves.
Okay.
Hopefully I didn't give you too much of a hint.
It's possible that you did. But it's weird because it can't be what you're saying. Oh, brother. Oh man, I'm gonna feel like such a dork if I don't call this right now. All right, I got to.
Do you want another hint before
I want one more hint.
I believe this is finished in bourbon barrels.
All right, then I've got to say this is. Let me grab the bottle here. I've got to say this is the Glenfiddich 14.
You are correct.
Oh, I called one. I don't call these very often.
Well, when it's coming from your own collection.
When it's coming, it's a lot easier when it's coming.
And it's a high priced bottle,
It's a lot easier when it's one of my own bottles.
Well done. Well done.
So yeah, normally we do the reveal later, but we have a great special guest and I don't want to wait any longer.
Well, who are those special guests brought to us by?
I know. Special guest on How About That Cigar brought to us by our friends at Drew Estate. And following the resounding success of Blackened Cigars M81 Maduro, Drew Estate announced the new Blackened S84 S84 Shade to Black. Wrapped in a luxurious Connecticut Ecuador cover leaf, the experience of this expression is distinctly different from the original M81 Maduro, while still retaining its foundational qualities due to the Connecticut broadleaf Maduro binder, and finally filler leaves from Pennsylvania and Nicaragua. Presented in elegantly designed 20-count boxes, blackened S84 Shade to Black by Drew Estate is available in Robusto, Toro, Corona Doble, and Corona. For more information, please visit drewestate.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please put your hands together. Welcome to episode 244 of How About That Cigar Live from Amber and Ash, Mr. Ryan Mills. Ryan, welcome to the show, brother.
How you guys doing?
It is a beautiful night here in Minnesota. It was what, 74 degrees tops?
It was like 85 86 yesterday,
Nice.
Beautiful. We absolutely love it. So, Ryan, just to give our audience an idea, I just fell in love with the content that you're putting out on social media as it relates to distilled spirits and cigars. And so I was grateful that when I reached out to you on Instagram, you hit me back right away and said, yeah, let's do it. So we're grateful to have you on here, because one of the things we love doing is, for those of our viewers who are alcohol drinkers, give them new and fun and interesting ways to enjoy their cigars with their distilled spirits. So, man, we are so grateful to have you on.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Anytime somebody reaches out and is just like, hey, we want to chat about really anything, whiskey, cigars, I mean, you name it. I'm always down to have fun. So.
Yeah. So one of the things that we'd love to find out first is, first of all, are you going to enjoy a fine cigar and beverage with us this evening?
Well, tonight, because I'm in the office, unfortunately, I won't have a cigar, even though I really want one. It would be nice if I had something in here to kind of filter the air. But when I do those cigar reviews, I literally put a fan in one of my windows blowing out so that I could smoke a cigar in my office to not make the whole house smell like cigars. But
I understand.
Normally on a night like this, I'm sitting out back, enjoying a whiskey, enjoying a cigar, just kind of relaxing. But I am going to have a spirit. So tonight I am going to have something in that matter, bourbon. But this one is a signature series out of Ohio, and they coined it the Porch Cigars. So this is Echo Spirits. So they sent something over for me to try, and actually quite enjoying it.
Oh, fantastic.
What does the bottle look like?
So Echo Spirits looks like this.
Pretty.
Oh,
and you
there
can
we
see
go.
here the nice little sticker on there.
Oh, I like it.
So this is their engineer series. So they're just doing a couple of different things where they're sourcing their barrels. They're blending those barrels from multiple distilleries to get a specific taste profile that they'd like out of it. And I figured it's apropos for tonight.
Absolutely. So, Ryan, one of the first things we always love learning from people about, and usually it's the cigar story, but for you, it's both the cigar and the spirit story. What got you started in the game of wanting to learn more about cigars and spirits? How did you get started with enjoying both those products?
So first things first, cigars is easy for me. My grandfather was a avid cigar smoker. That sounds weird to say, but he loved cigars. And every time we would go over there for Sunday dinner, well, I'm from a large Italian family. I know the name doesn't look like that, but large Italian family. And that's how we were raised. Every Sunday we went to grandma and grandpa's house. And after every dinner we had there, my grandfather, my uncles would all go out back, smoke cigars, talk business, talk shop, just talk about life, right? Since then, I have just been a huge fan of cigars, trying to understand what they are, how they are. It's almost the same reason kind of why I'm into whiskey, in the sense of when something interests me, right? I tell people when it tickles my brain, it has history, it has art, it has science all involved into it. I'm down to try to figure everything out that I possibly can about it. And that's why I like whiskey. Whiskey is not, for me, it's not a family thing, right? Don't get me wrong. I have family members that love to drink whiskey, but I'm not just a lover of drinking whiskey. I like to taste whiskey. I like to understand it.
Yeah.
I like to figure out the different notes that I get from it, or why I'm getting those particular notes. But it's been a fun journey over the past, I don't even know, how old am I now? Almost 40 years old. So it's been around, let's say, legally 19 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to go around the horn here and start with Justin. What are you smoking this evening?
What am I smoking this evening? Let's see. I got the Howard G Magic Stick in the Cameroon. I think
Nice.
this is your favorite from them, Matt.
Yeah, I love that
Recall,
Cameroon.
First time I've had this one, and they got some good stuff out there.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know about Howard G, you're missing out on that.
Yeah.
And then, as always, the 1919 doesn't change every
Classic.
week. That's my classic go-to.
Classic. What are you going to smoke first, Andrew?
Well, I was reaching for the Crux, but then I saw you had that. Maybe we should do that, because if we grab a bottle, we can.
Let's do. Well, yeah, because we're going to go with this. So
okay. We're going to do which. Here we go.
Yeah, we're both going to light up the Crux Epicure Habano, and we'll tell you the reason why for that in just a minute. But I'm going to light mine up right now, and I gotta remember to put the ad read on the screen. Going to light my cigar on the Cigar Toast Cam. Cigar is the leading accessory brand with innovative butane lighters, precision cutting instruments, travel cases, and humidors. Each product is designed and manufactured with the utmost precision and attention to detail. The result is a range of products that exude quality and refinement, reflecting the brand's dedication to excellence. For more information, please visit Cigar.com. So Ryan, one of the things I'm curious about was, because I remember the first time I tried Scotch, for instance. It was in college. It was at a absolute garbage towny bar. And somebody went to the bar, and I was already, I was 22 years old at the time, and drinking way, way more than any human being should drink in one night. And I think it was my brother maybe went to the bar and ordered a Scotch, and they poured Scotch into a plastic cup and gave it to me. And the Scotch probably came out of a plastic bottle. So for, decades, I said, I hate Scotch. Well, it's because I basically drank cough syrup, not knowing that there was, really good Scotch out there. And as I sort of gradually learned about it more, I'm similar to you, where if it's got the art and the story behind it, I really love products like that. So what was the first, whether it was Scotch or bourbon, any kind of distilled spirit, what was the first one that you remember that really kind of made you think there's way more to this than just drinking it? There's so much behind it.
So for me, it's actually quite funny, because it's not the most expensive thing in the world, nor is it one that anybody would say is like, I have to have it. But that was a McClellan's Isla.
Okay.
It's an Isla Scotch that's blended. So they take different single malts from different distilleries in Isla, and they put it together, and that's what you got. It was the first one that I tried that wasn't overly sweet. It wasn't caramel. It wasn't, cherry or vanilla. It was just smoke. It was a little bit of grassiness, a little bit of saltiness, a little bit of brininess. And then once you kind of got through that, then it started to bring out like floral and sweet notes to it. Very slight sweet notes, like butterscotch. And I was just like, ooh, this is different. This is weird. But funny enough, I have a very similar story to you when it comes to bourbon. So I tried a bourbon for the first time when I was 21 years old, and it was Jim Beam White Label.
Ooh,
yeah, and I had it neat. Probably shouldn't have, and it was overly like nutty. And that's usually like what Beam products are. So I figured to myself, being young, not knowing what I'm drinking, bourbons are this weird, funky, nutty note to it. So I stayed away from bourbons for probably about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then only drank Scotch, mostly Islas, because Isla whiskeys, by the way, are just phenomenal with cigars.
Yeah.
And then it was because of a buddy of mine who was like, hey, try this Old Rip 10. Turned me right back on to bourbons. And I mean, for those that can't see, if you're listening, sorry, but there's hundreds of bottles behind me. That's where you get all the bottles. So
yeah. Old Rip 10 is a great reintroduction. I mean, it's hard to beat. It's so it's just really smooth and easy, yet incredibly complex. So and it pairs really nicely with a lot of different cigars.
I think my first whiskey was Johnny Walker Black.
That's not a terrible start.
I think that was my first.
That's not bad at all.
Foray into, and then we went up to the gold.
Yeah,
I think my neighbor and I went in on it together. It was like, oh, we're high class now.
Yeah, the gold, absolutely.
No, can't go wrong with that, though.
So, Ryan, what would you say? Because one of the things that really turned me on to your content, especially on TikTok, is the sort of no nonsense approach that you use, and for those of you who haven't followed Ryan on social media yet, just go to at that one dude Ryan, and the whole thing with the slamming down of the glass and the slamming down of the bottle and there's no nonsense about it. You take a drink and you can tell by your facial expression whether it's good or bad, and then you give a short description. And I know there's other avenues where you go deeper into it than that, but that really turned me on to it, and it gave me good sort of quick reference information to know, okay, when you first learn about this guy, it's similar to cigar reviewers. When you say, okay, this guy said that X spirit is good, or this other person said that X cigar is good. Now I'm going to go and try it a couple times and see if I agree. And if I do, there's a chance that I have a similar palate to this person and I'm going to like what they like too. So how did you sort of develop your philosophy for the way you were going to review products and try to get that information across in a digestible way to viewers?
Yeah, there was no rhyme or reason behind it, truthfully.
Okay.
The one thing that I've always found annoying is kind of the notes that come out of nowhere for some people. Especially when you're on social media, there's a lot of people that do these like extravagant notes, like, oh, this tastes like a 25-year-old dried cherry that sat underneath a furnace for 25 minutes, and you're like, where the hell are you drinking that, or where are you tasting that, right? So I literally was posting pictures and semi reviews, like short reviews on Instagram for a long time, and speaking with people within my own community here in Tampa, right? The whiskey drinkers, the society pages, things like that. And there's a lot of no better way of saying it. There's a lot of snobbery. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were working on something for our job. And they were like, you should just start doing TikTok. And I'm like, how am I going to take pictures with description and turn that into something that's actually kind of fun to watch? Because there's a lot of people, trust me, that try to do that. And they were just like, just stare deadpan at a camera and slam bottles. So I did it the first time. If you go very far back in the archives, like 4 years ago, the first video I ever did was on a Michael Collins Irish whiskey. And I just I'm sitting there, and I reach down and I bring the bottle up and I pop the top, and it's all slow and methodical and truthfully kind of annoying now. And they looked at the video and they were like, yeah, that's not what I meant. Like, just slam shit. And if it breaks, it breaks. If it spills, it spills. It'll be actually funny, and just stare at the camera. So I was like, all right, I'll try it.
Yeah.
So I started doing it more and more and more. Somebody asked me to do Fireball. So I did Fireball and did a general Fireball reaction because it's not whiskey, first off. And second of all, it's so overbearingly sweet and cinnamon. So, it came out. So then I was cleaning my desk for the next week. So that's it. The no nonsense stuff, I do that just to have fun. Whiskey isn't something to be super serious about. Whiskey isn't something about it's just about enjoying the whiskey with somebody you enjoy, drinking whiskey with, or smoking a cigar with somebody that you enjoy smoking a cigar with. So there's no reason for the snobbery. I even go after like my educational content. I try to make it quick, simple, concise, to the point, so that people can enjoy it and easily digest it. Okay. Because there's a lot to learn. So I kind of take that no nonsense with me no matter where I go.
Yeah. The market has absolutely exploded in recent years. And this, I mean, that's true for the cigar market, but it is overly true for the distilled spirits market. I mean, there's so many brands that are, there's brands, it seems seemingly popping up all the time that, right, when you dig deep and find out, get to the root of the story, you're like, okay, this is contract distilled and so on and so forth, which I'm not against that in any stretch of the imagination. But from an overall like market saturation or whatever, I don't know how to say it, but kind of standpoint of like, have we reached a point where it's too much, or do you think there's still room for the market to grow?
I think there's definitely room for the market to grow.
Okay.
So, from my standpoint, there is a lot of whiskey, right? Do I think the bourbon world is a little bit oversaturated with fake marketing schemes and things like that? Absolutely. But there's a lot of room for newer kinds of whiskeys, finished styles of whiskeys, blends, and you name it. I mean, the cool thing about this world is a new region could pop up at any point in time. Even in the United States right now, we're looking at the rise of American single malt. I love American single malt. Remember, I have the Scotch background, a single malt background with Irish and Scottish whiskeys. So for me, American single malt's only going to get bigger. And the fact that there are now almost specific regions in the United States based off of the American single malt. Texas tastes different than Colorado. Colorado tastes different than, Virginia. Virginia tastes different than something you can buy or get from California. And even Kentucky is trying to start their own like Kentucky style American single malt. So there's definitely room for improvement. There's definitely room for growth. What needs to happen, in my humble opinion, is that and I don't know what I can say. I'm sure I've already, said words that I probably shouldn't have. But the BS needs to stop.
There are no words off limits on this show.
Fucking great. The bullshit needs to stop.
Yeah.
So when a new company comes out, it's about being transparent. Now, that makes a difference in my world, right? In the community of the whiskey drinkers, the whiskey enthusiasts, the content creators, the influencers, whatever you want to call them, right? We see through the BS.
Yeah.
We look at different brands and we go, Old George Whiskey Co. It's based off of my grandfather's 650-year-old whiskey story. And when he was a moonshiner up in the West Virginia mountains, what? We've never even heard of him.
Yeah.
Like what? And how is it only 5 years old if it's this 100-year-old thing? Oh, on the back it says distilled in Indiana. Yeah. Right. So just don't lie. Be transparent. And matter of fact, some of the most successful whiskey companies right now are bourbon companies. Let me rephrase that. Some of the most successful bourbon companies today have been the most transparent with the user, right? With myself, with even the quote unquote end user, the person that's just going out there and buying whiskey. So bourbon can do better. Scotch is already there. And yes, the whole whiskey world can definitely grow.
Well, speaking of that, talking about some of the best brands that you're saying are transparent in the way they do business, the way they label their products, the way they advertise and talk to their customers about their products. What are some of those brands, name a few of them that you think are really today in the bourbon world doing it right?
Well, I mean, the biggest transparent brand right now that's a newer brand, a newer bourbon, newer whiskey brand is Penelope. Yeah. Right. Penelope out of New Jersey. Mike and Danny, the owners of Penelope, Danny is the master blender. And they both have said since day one, like we source our whiskey from MGP in Indiana and we blend it to taste that we like. And the funny thing is, if you ever look at any of the podcasts or shows that they've ever been on or lives, even my own live on Instagram, or not on TikTok, but on Instagram, they even said, like, the funny part is we didn't know we couldn't be transparent. Like, we just want to be transparent. They're not trying to push or peddle this is my grandma's old moonshine still recipe. They're literally like, Mike is like, the brand is named after my daughter. We started it because myself and my friend absolutely love whiskey. We would sit out back and drink some and just go, man, wouldn't it be cool if we started our own brand one day? And they did. And just so happens that Danny Pelosi's phenomenal at blending. I believe last year he won like Blender of the Year in one of the whiskey awards that are out there. And they're just doing a great thing, right? They're finishing good stuff. They're blending good stuff. So that's one of the most transparent. There are tons out there that are, but one of the most has to be them.
Their toasted is terrific.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I really enjoy that.
I went through a bottle of that in no time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I want to give kind of an update. So Andrew and I lit up the Crux Epicure Habano, and back a year ago, a little more than a year ago, myself and some of the guys from Sodi's Cigar and Pipe in Oak Park Heights, Minnesota, got together with Tony Hogan from Crux Cigars and some of the people from some of the fine people from Barrel Spirits. So this whiskey, this is Stellum bourbon that we did a barrel pick. So we had, I want to say, 4 ryes to choose from or 4 bourbons to choose from. Mm-hmm. And after doing the tasting, I think there were 6 or 7 of us doing the tasting. And we did the tasting with the Crux Epicure Habano. And every single one of us, to the person, chose the exact same pick. And this is the one that ended up coming out. And this is I believe it's still available at 1010 Washington Spirits, which is right on Washington Ave in downtown Minneapolis. This comes in at 113.92 proof. And it's just it's a nice, higher proof bourbon that's not too hot. What do you think of the first couple sips of this, Andrew?
It's good. I haven't had it yet. So.
Yeah, it's just and it really does go nicely with the, with the cigar. It's a good pairing, and kind of along those lines of pairing. Putting different. We've done so much stuff on this show about pairing, and we've even done like pairing roulettes and stuff like that. So, when it comes to like choosing a cigar to go with a bourbon or a Scotch for you, Ryan, what are like some of the things that you try to encourage people to look at before they pick which one they're gonna pair with the other?
The one thing that I always look at, all right, and I don't have a word for it, or I don't know what the actual word for it is, but the thing that I like to look at is deductive pairing. And what I mean by that is this. You want to know why Isla's scotches go so well with like medium to full flavored cigars, something like a Habano or a Maduro, is that a Scotch or an Isla Scotch tends to be smoky.
Yeah.
A cigar, no surprise, by the way, tends to be smoky. Okay. Those two things cancel each other out. And then what happens after that is once they cancel each other out on the palate, you open up the finer flavors in the spirit and also in the cigar itself. If you look at, I just posted a pairing today. I've been working with the good people at a place that I'm not going to mention, but they've sent me some cigars to pair with different types of spirits that I have in the house here. And the Waterford peated, it's the Cuvée Fumo, pairs unbelievably well with the Cavalier Let's see if I can get this right. You know how many takes it took me? The Tres de la Quintas Maduro.
Yeah.
Those two went unbelievably well because it canceled out that medium bodied smoke on it. And it got to the point of milk chocolatey goodness, right? And then what the cigar did to the whiskey was, it deducted that smoke and it brought out almost like this tropical fruitiness. Like it was like melon and apple, like green apple, bananas, things like that. So it even canceled out some of the floral notes because of those more bitter tones that you can get from a like barroom floor from a cigar. So it kind of canceled those things out and it created a step up for both of them. So that's what I always try to tend to do, right? If you want a really good pairing, if you have a bottle of Eagle Rare sitting at the house, bottle of Eagle Rare, under Crown Maduro.
Yeah.
My favorite stuff. So that's kind of what you just have to play with it.
Yeah.
Have fun with your spirits. It's like when you were a kid, just play with it. Have fun with it.
I like that the term deductive because one of the things we've talked about in the past is sort of like and we even had a chef on the show talking about food and things like that. And there's contrasting pairings and there's complementary pairings where, you know, like things like you mentioned, Isla Scotch, smoky with a cigar of the right, you know, can seem like it would be counterproductive, but it's actually, because I'll say this, I will not, if I don't have a cigar with me, I will not sit down with a glass of Lagavulin. I don't like it on its own.
You don't sit, you know, in front of the fire, in a nice leather chair,
just with
like
speechless,
leather-bound books.
staring at a camera.
You don't do that
with many leather-bound books.
I thought everyone did that.
Caress your mustache ever so gently.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there are certain spirits that I won't just sit down and drink without a cigar because to me, I don't enjoy them without a cigar. But then there are other spirits that I'll drink neat on a night that I'm not having a cigar and still enjoy it quite a bit. So for me, on its own, a peated Scotch, I don't enjoy. A heavily peated Scotch, I do not enjoy. But with the right cigar, I think it goes really, really nicely together. But then, like you said, if you get a mild, you know, Connecticut shade wrap cigar and try to smoke that with a Lagavulin, good luck. You're not. You will not taste the cigar.
They just came out with the Offerman edition.
The Offerman edition, yeah, the new one.
Yeah, the latest one. I haven't gotten that one yet.
Yeah.
Trust me when I say this. Nick Offerman is like, I have a shirt that says what Ron Swanson said. It's like clear spirits are for rich women on a diet or something that from Parks and Recreation. I have a shirt that says it. I have almost every, you guys can't see it. It's actually up there. Almost every Offerman edition from Lagavulin, because I mean they knocked it out of the park with the first one, and then the Guinness Stout cask finish was really good. Last year I wasn't a huge fan. There's that Chard was just not. It didn't hit as well, but the new one looks pretty darn good.
It's at Costco.
Yeah,
it's not at Costco.
The new one is at Costco. Really?
I almost bought it.
I was just in Costco last weekend, and the only thing even halfway decent that they had, because Costco, as everybody knows, is, you know, you go in there one day and you're going to find just such cool stuff, and then you go in there another time and it's nothing. I was on a nothing day.
It was between, they had the Elijah Craig Toasted.
That's all they had.
Or the Offerman one, and I went with the Elijah.
They didn't have the offer. They had the Elijah Craig Toasted, which I've already had, and I enjoy, but not enough to, you know, buy another bottle of it. And otherwise, they didn't really have anything that I was, you know, interested in. So I didn't. But yeah, I will say this. Speaking of Costco, is some of the and I'm curious what you have to say about this, Ryan. Some of the spirits of mystery that Raul has given me sample bottles of over the last few months have turned out to be Kirkland's signature bottles, and they're really, I mean, it's good juice. They're putting some good stuff in, you know, and at a really reasonable price. So
Yeah.
what has been your experience with some of the like big box brands?
So Costco, the Kirkland signature, right? They're not bad.
Yeah.
Whoever is working that back end at Costco, I mean, being honest, is doing a great job. Their bourbons are all sourced from Barton 1792 in Bardstown, Kentucky. And if you've had 1792 or you've had any of the other Barton, whiskeys that are out there, they're good whiskeys, right? They're not bad.
Yeah.
And then if you look at their Scotch selection, they're working with an independent bottler called Alexander Murray. Alexander Murray does not really blend or pick bad whiskey at all. I just tried, I wish I still had it. Somebody sent me a sample. I think it was a 17-year Speyside.
Mm.
And it blew my mind. And they're like $45 at Costco. And I was like,
right.
Why can't my Costco ever get this? My Costco, like you said, my Costco has like Elijah Craig small batch, Bullet, Rye, Maker's Mark. Yeah. They never have anything like of substance. And when they do, nobody buys it. But the substance is Joseph Magnus. Like, it's a good whiskey, but I already have like 3 bottles. I don't need more.
Yeah.
I scored a bottle of Blue Run at Costco.
Oh, did you?
I need to go to your Costco.
I've seen Blue Run there before. The best find I ever had at Costco was Chestnut Farm 15-year for like $98.
Huh.
And you have to know that bourbon and Scotch pricing in Minnesota is stupid. It's first of all, there's not a lot of shops that get good selection up here in Minnesota, and if they do get any kind of decent selection, the prices are. And Andrew, you've traveled so much, you've seen the other states and what they're charging. Like bottle of Blanton's, you were in Virginia, I think it was.
Yeah,
and bottle of Blanton's
retail
$65.
No, it's $59.99.
$59.99. So here in Minnesota, bottle of Blanton's, at least $150 if you're lucky. Which is
stupid because it's good, but it's not $150 good.
I saw somebody with a bottle. This blew my mind to no end. Saw a shop actually just a few miles from where we're sitting right now. A bottle of standard issue green label Weller Reserve, $499.
No, thank you.
I mean, it's a $50 bottle.
26.
Yeah.
So
up here, most places would charge $50 for that bottle.
Yeah, the
nice thing David just
crazy.
mentioned, Virginia's state controlled. It's all state liquor stores. So
yeah.
Everything is retail, and that's it.
And they had a bottle of Pappy 15 for $2,000, which secondary market, that's about average these days.
Right. Yeah, we get that too in Florida. We're a completely open state, so we can get or an allocated state, depending on what you want to call it, right? But we get bottles of Blanton's here that range from standard, like $65, which is kind of the standard if you take into account a lot of the other things that retailers have to deal with. But $65 isn't bad. From 65 all the way up to, depending on which bottle of Blanton's you're looking at, whether it's a gold or a straight from the barrel or a single barrel pick, which I find is hilarious because they're all single barrels. They can range upwards of $500. That just is what it is. I have to travel. I travel a lot, go to distilleries, go to, for work, other things. And I see the prices. Not every controlled state, though, is price controlled, but most are. So Virginia is going to be one of those price controlled states. Ohio seems to be really well in the price controlling. North Carolina does a good job, but they really don't get much. Yeah. But there's a state close to me that has great whiskey at not so great prices all the time, but you can find the good bottles there.
Yeah.
What would you say? We were talking about Blanton's, and I mean, up here, it's just stupid. People go crazy for a bottle, just standard Blanton's.
Yeah.
What would you say contributes to that? Because I mean, like I said, I think it's a decent bourbon, decent whiskey.
It's decent,
right? But it's not worth someone paying $150, $300 for. What would you say contributes to that price gouging, if you will? Why do people go crazy over it? Is it Reddit gets a hold of it and builds it up, or what? What are your opinions on that, Ryan?
No, I think that it has to do a lot with great marketing, right? By a distillery that makes good whiskey, right? Nobody's going to say, first and foremost, I will say this till I'm blue in the face or until you're blue in the face, right? Buffalo Trace makes great whiskey.
Yeah.
Full stop. So
Right.
whatever I say after this, just know I enjoy it. Okay. When it comes to Weller, Pappy, Blanton's, E.H. Taylor, all their other stuff, it goes down to marketing and it goes down to people overhyping things that don't necessarily need to be overhyped. On top of that, I've done many videos on this, and this is strictly an opinion. Okay. I believe there's a level of manufactured scarcity when it comes to things like that. Why do we have 4 mash bills and 1,700 labels? There's no necessary use for that.
Yeah.
Out of the same thing that you're producing, you're maturing in warehouses. You have things like Blanton's. You have Elmer T. Lee. You have the kosher rye recipe. You have I can't even think Hancock's, right?
Yeah.
You have all of these different mash bills that produce multiple things. And yes, different places in the rick houses, different times of day, you could get that. But explain Weller to me at that point, right? You just said special reserve for $50 for something that I could probably get on the low end around $26 to $30, right?
Yeah.
It's the same mash bill as Weller Full Proof,
Mhm.
as 107, as 12, as Daniel Weller, as William LaRue Weller, as Weller straight from the single barrel, as Weller CYPB. Some of them have almost the exact same ages. They're just brought down to 107 or kept at 114.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, come on, guys. Like, let's stop the hype. Let's stop the constantly talking. And I'm not saying let's hate on them. We should definitely enjoy them. But there's a lot of people out there just buying them to flip them, or buying them to keep them behind them, or buying them to show off to friends. And then, at least they're popping those bottles and enjoying them. So there's a lot to do with marketing.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of take it the other direction with John Lovell's question here.
Yeah.
He was asking, what is your best $30 to $40 bourbon, Ryan?
Ooh, good question. So for $30 to $40 in that price range itself, you can find like Kentucky Spirit from Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
Like, it's delicious. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think off the top. I mean, so much. There's so much.
First world problems.
Right. $30 to $40 and in bourbon. You know what I really like for around, it's just at that $30 range. It's actually, you could probably find it cheaper. Would be something like Rebel 100. If you're a wheated bourbon fan,
Yeah.
Rebel 100 is darn good, especially for the price. There's a couple of smaller distilleries that not everybody can get their hands on. So usually when I get that question, I try to go for something that's big named, something that you can get in all 50 states.
Yeah, I would add to that readily accessible.
Yeah, readily accessible will be like the Rebel 100, right? I believe it's anywhere between $25 and $35.
Yeah.
All right. If you like a higher rye bourbon, right? Something with a higher rye mash bill in it. I love the Ezra Brooks, right? Or Old Ezra. That's probably going to be closer to the $50 range, but within that frame.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic whiskeys in my humble opinion, within that price range. So Wild Turkey, Kentucky Spirit, find it all day, every day for around that $40.
Right. I've said this on our show so many times. One of the bourbons that I keep on hand pretty much all the time, because it's super inexpensive and every place carries it, is Old Forester 100.
Mm-hmm.
It's easily drinkable. If you have somebody who wants to put it in a cocktail, it goes well in a cocktail. It still drinks good, neat. But I tend to be a fan of most, not all, most of what Old Forester has put their name on.
Absolutely.
I think they make good juice, and I think they do a good job with what they do.
Yeah.
The disappointing, I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but the disappointment for me this year was not getting my hands on the 10-year, the Old Forester
Oh, the 1924.
Yeah, the 1924 with the little purple ribbon on it. I mean, that stuff went so fast. It was unbelievable how quickly that stuff sold out.
It should be back.
Yeah,
So
it will. Yeah.
Here's the thing with Old Forester. Again, like you just said, name a single thing they've made that wasn't good. Like all of it's good. Now, I'm not a huge fan of their well. I love the 100 and up.
Yeah.
I literally, funny story. Sorry to kind of take you off track here, but
No, go for it.
the funny story is I was in Owensboro this weekend for the Barbecue and Barrels event. It was a blast, loved it. But we had a quick little like cocktail hour with a brand. I'm not going to name them. The funny part was when I walked in, they're like, "Hey, it's good to meet you, blah, 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 blah. Grab yourself a drink." I'm like, "Okay." "Hey, can I get a old fashioned, please?" And the woman behind the bar goes, "Okay, what kind of bourbon would you like?" And I go, "That's a trick question. I actually like rye."
Yeah.
And so everybody in the room was like, because it was a rye brand that had invited us over. And I was like, "Let me get that Old Forester 100 rye and an old fashioned, please." Grabbed my cocktail, turned around, and I was like, "Yeah, I made a poor decision there." I'm in a room for a different brand.
I am a rye old fashioned guy.
Yeah.
If I order an old fashioned, if I can get rye in it, that's my go to.
If you are at home making an old fashioned, High West double rye. Thank me later. High West double rye.
Noted.
$30, and it'll probably make the best old fashioned.
So better than Bullet Rye. That's kind of the bottle I keep on hand for mixing, especially old fashions.
Nice.
But High West will be on my list now. What do we have here, Matt?
Well, one of the things that that I love doing, my wife and I really enjoy doing over the years, is if we travel somewhere, find the really good quality, fun local breweries and distilleries. And distilling, micro distilling has become a thing in so many towns across the country. So this is from Tattersall, actually, and I was blown away. Somebody let me try this rye at an event late last year, and they said, "Oh, it's from Tattersall," which Tattersall, it's a fun place. They've got a fun tour and some decent spirits. But I had not actually tried the rye before, and so we sat down at this event. This is actually distilled in Minnesota and bottled in Wisconsin. Nice. So we're looking at 55% corn, 35% Hazlitt rye, 10% malted rye, number 4 char, 30 and 53 gallon American white oak, 4+ years. Nice. And I was like, this rye, and this was, this is 100 proof rye. This $40, I think.
Ish.
Maybe $40.
Not bad.
This for anybody who's in this market in Minnesota and Wisconsin, if you see this Tattersall rye, I promise you will not be disappointed. This rye, this rye drinks like a $60 bottle. There's so much of that balanced spice with the corn sweetness on the back end, and and Andrew, I don't know if you've had it yet. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it, because I was floored. So yeah, I thought this rye, I would happily pay $60 for this bottle.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. I've never had that before.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I think I'm still, and this is probably something you run into, Ryan, is bourbon can come from anywhere, right? And
anywhere in the US, yeah.
Yeah. And you get stuck in this mindset, well, it has to come from Kentucky, or I want to buy a brand that, is from that part of the country. And I'm guilty of that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of that. It's like, no, I want to go to some, Kentucky or at least Tennessee.
Right.
But yeah, recently I've been.
You're a locationist.
Look, everybody does it. Everybody does it. When you first start off in the whiskey world, or in any world, really, you get a little bit of your own preconceived notions of what you think you like more than other things, right? With cigars. How many times do you have to listen to somebody go, "Oh, I got a few Cubanos, and you're like, I prefer literally anything else sometimes.
Amen
You
to
know,
that.
I would take an Ecuadorian based Habano cigar than an actual Cuban cigar.
Yeah.
I like Nicaraguan cigars. I like Dominican cigars, right? Same thing with whiskeys. A lot of people get this preconceived notion that Kentucky makes the best bourbon. And trust me, Kentucky would like for you to continue to think that. But you guys in Minnesota actually have a pretty darn good whiskey company up there called J. Carver, or the brand is J. Carver. They make great bourbons. They have an awesome wheat whiskey and a good rye whiskey. I had the pleasure of having some single barrel picks from them. They're all the way over there. I just want to be able to just grab things and bring it over. But they have a great wheat whiskey that literally knocked my socks off the first time I've ever had it. And cash strength. I'm talking like 126 proof and just full of flavor. So you got to have to get outside of that world. Scotch drinkers do the same thing. Whoa, what are you drinking? A Campbelltown? Ugh, Campbelltowns are gross. Well, have you even tried it? Well, no, but I know that I don't like Campbelltown whiskey. Well, then you're losing out, right? I don't like Isla whiskeys. I only like Highlands whiskeys. Well, then you haven't had Highland Park, because Highland Park tastes very much like a Highlands whiskey blended with a Isla whiskey. It's somewhat peated, it's sweet, it's figgish, but they're very similar to an Isla whiskey. So you just have to kind of open your horizons, try new things. At least that's what I try to do on my channel.
Oh, absolutely. And the just a real quick, just personal plug here, not for anything of mine, but just inside the border of Wisconsin from Minnesota, 45th Parallel Distillery, their wheat whiskey is outstanding. I mean, their bourbon's okay, but their wheat whiskey is outstanding.
I've never been.
And they just they're doing so well. They continue to expand their footprint and they're distilling more and more. But Ryan, one of the things I'm curious about is in your travels, what have been some one or two micro distilleries in different states or different cities around the country that you have really been happy with the stuff you've tried from them?
The people that make me remember them, because they're good whiskeys, and usually you forget about the good whiskeys. But when they have truly great whiskeys, things that make you remember them because of something unique. In the state of Florida, there's a handful of craft distilleries here that create their own stuff. Kazuba and Sons, or Kazuba, is out of St. Petersburg, Florida. They do a phenomenal job, right? If you go up into North Carolina has one called Southern Distilling. It's the biggest, smallest distillery you've ever heard of. You would not know that they source a bunch of their whiskey to other people, other distilleries.
Okay.
Because there's mainly, NDAs and things like that. But they produce something called Paragon. I actually have a bottle of it right here. So Paragon from Southern Star, that's the brand, but it's from Southern Distillers. Paragon is a wheated whiskey, a wheated bourbon. Sorry.
Yeah.
That wheated bourbon is phenomenal. And when I hand it to people and I don't tell them what it is, they're like, wow, I really enjoy this. Right. Missouri has probably, and somebody said Indiana is the new Kentucky. I beg to differ. If any other Missouri distillery is like Ben Holiday or Holiday Distilling, Kentucky's got a problem, because this is phenomenal whiskey, right? Coming out of Missouri. Those are just to name a few, right? There are so many great distilleries that are producing their own stuff nationwide. Texas, Balcones. You have Milam and Green, who is taking stuff from multiple states as well as their own distillate from Texas and blending it and making some really cool stuff. In California, I'm sure you guys have heard of Redwood Empire, right? Redwood Empire's killing it right now in the whiskey game. So it's not just Kentucky. There's a lot of smaller craft distillers that are leaving their mark.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're close to New York, check out is it Five Fingers or Finger Lake Distilling?
Okay.
They're making some stuff that I absolutely enjoy. It's It's a little musty, but again, I'm an Isla Scotch drinker, so I enjoy the must. So go to the state. This is what I tell people all the time on my pages, right? If you're in a state that is not Kentucky, it's not Tennessee, try to figure out if there's a distillery close to you. Go to that distillery, try some of their stuff, ask the questions. Are you making this yourself or are you sourcing? Because a lot of people are sourcing. If they're craft, they're small, they're just buying barrels from other places, blending those things together and creating their own particular style. But they're doing that in order to make their own distillate for the future. So support the local guys, try some craft stuff, and enjoy it.
We had someone ask, it seems like there's a few bottles behind you with maybe your likeness, a sticker of your face, perhaps. Yeah, David Floyd there.
And is there a story behind that bottle that you got over there?
I think I see two. Isn't there one behind your other shoulder as well?
Oh, Lord, is there? I don't know. I'm
Middle
sure that
shelf.
that
Yeah,
one's
right.
over there.
Yeah.
So that one's just a joke. That was, we were going to a bottle. So if you go to a bottle share, in order to make sure that you don't lose your whiskey, you put your sticker on it. I was at a content creators bottle share. We had, let's just say, it was two tables just full of awesome whiskey. So Urban Bourbonist Chris Blattner gave me the idea because he puts his sticker on his bottles. He's like, that way nobody walks off with my bottle because it's mine. So that's what that's for. But that's actually a North Carolina single barrel by oh God, I forgot their name. It's a specific society in North Carolina. But this bottle this is my bottle. Mine and Chris from Whiskey Noobs podcast. We worked together on creating a Hard Truth sweet mash rye. And the reason why is because Hard Truth is, again, one of those craft distillers. They're in Indiana. They're not sourcing. They're creating their own stuff. And a sweet mash rye is essentially just every time that they go to do a run of rye whiskey at their distillery, everything gets cleaned out. You get your fermenters all cleaned out. You get your mash tuns all cleaned out. You get your stills all cleaned out, and you start brand new each time. The reason why we picked this particular whiskey in this bottle was because it has a fruitiness to it. There's very little spice on it, a lot of fruitiness on it. But I threw my sticker on it because when I get one of these, I throw a sticker on it. Most of the time I'm giving it to somebody or doing something. This one just so happens to stay in the house. So, but that's funny that you saw that. I put it too high up there. I put it on the Sagamore shelf. Anyway.
Well,
I forgive you.
I got to say this, I mean, the Crux Epicure Habano obviously paired really nicely with that Stellum because it was a barrel pick that we picked with this cigar, but it really, being the Habano wrapper and, a little bit of Ligero in the filler, it's got enough horsepower to stand up to, even this rye, wouldn't you say?
I would agree.
Yeah. So I think it's just a cigar that I think pairs nicely with a lot of things. I wouldn't necessarily, put like we've been talking about a lot of peated whiskeys. I wouldn't necessarily put this cigar with, a heavily peated whiskey.
No, but this cigar is just good. It's just a good cigar.
Yeah, it's a good cigar. There's nuance to it that can stand up to a lot, but you don't want to lose. That's one of the other things, Ryan, that I know you've talked about with. You don't want to lose anything from either side of the equation. You don't want to lose the nuance from the whiskey, and you don't want to lose the nuance from the cigar. But like you said, with the reductive thing, you can almost create new. It's like for this silly thing that just came to mind is like. This is so stupid, but different Skittles, different combinations. I know that's so freaking stupid, so forgive me, but
it makes sense.
But yeah, there's just
makes perfect sense.
You can create new sort of little nuances with flavors and aromas, and it's learning about where the whiskey comes from, and learning about where. The people who make it, that's it's so important for us as cigar nerds, is learning about where the cigars come from and who makes the cigars and why they chose the leaves to go into that blend that they did and how they process the leaves and how they age the leaves. And the same for you with how they create the mash bill and do they use different methodologies for grinding the grain or whatever it may be, temperature of the water. It's so, we get down into those minutia of nerdy details that we just can't get enough of. For some reason, for us, it makes enjoying the product easier. Do you find that same thing to be true? And how do you get other people kind of turned on to that same fascination?
Well, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it's really that hard, because if somebody has even the tiniest little bit of interest in it, you can expand that interest, right? If I said to you, hey, I have 2 bottles of whiskey, they're the same mash bill, they were matured in the same size barrels, they were put in the same rick house and matured for the same amount of time, literally right next to each other. The only difference is one of these barrels was from Independent Stave Company and the other one was from Kelvin. And that's why they're different.
Yeah.
And you would go, well, why? Well, because that's where the interest sparks, right? That's where it all begins. Just like I could take a cigar and ferment it for 4 years, and then take the same leaf and ferment it for 4 years, but in a bourbon barrel. And yes, there are some similarities to these 2 cigars, but the one that was fermented in a bourbon barrel is just, it's got a little bit of cherryness to it. It's got a little bit of brown sugar note to it. Well, you're not going to get that in something that's fermented just in open air, right?
Yeah.
That's where the fun comes from, where all the fun comes from. Like I geeked out with people from Speyside Cooperage over wood grain, which was weird, right? Because they will sit down and go through the science of it all, and how the wood grain on the bottom of the tree, it can be tighter, it's younger than the top of the tree, where you get more sunlight. It can be a little bit looser. It can bring in a little bit more of that green note to your whiskeys, right? So they even said it gets broken down to where the wood from the barrel actually comes from can change the flavor of your whiskey overall.
Yeah.
Which blew my mind, because then when you're in this world, you're like, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Or why do these 2 whiskeys, they're 2 totally different whiskeys, but why do they taste very similar? Oh, well, because maybe one comes from the other distillery, right? Yeah. That's how you can pique people's interest, especially, like I said, with cigars, same regions, same blenders, same types and styles, different batches. There's just all kinds of fun things that you can open people's minds to have them explore themselves.
Yeah, it's so fun to explore that, because like the white oak that's used in the barrels, these trees were grown in Ohio for these barrels, but these other, it's the same species of tree, exact same species of tree, but these other white oaks were grown in Minnesota before they were harvested. And that, for whatever reason, I know there's a ton of science behind it, but for whatever reason, after those are charred, even if they're charred to the exact same level, that whiskey's going to taste different. And
it's like, why can I get why can I get standard tobacco in a cigar that tastes so much different if I just sun grow it?
Well, it's the same thing in cigars. I mean, we've obviously been around a lot of master cigar makers, right? And hearing some of them talk about, like you were saying, Ryan, like, we're going to take this part of the leaf because it was towards the top of the plant and it had more sun, and it's going to offer these qualities, whereas the lower leaves have less sun, it offers these. I mean, you're talking the same thing.
Exactly.
It's just wood versus tobacco, and it's amazing what the difference.
And those are so fun to experiment with and learn about. We go so nerd heavy on stuff like that.
Yeah, normal people don't even think.
Normal people don't. Normal people
right?
are like, give me an old fashioned, and that's kind of the end of it.
Well, that's why I jokingly say to people all the time, they're like, what do you know about whiskey? I'm like, how long do you have?
Exactly.
Because I'm telling you right now, I can sit here and talk for hours on whiskey. As a matter of fact, I do every Tuesday night on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
You know,
let's talk about cigars then.
Right.
What you mentioned, Ecuador and Nicaragua earlier. As far as cigars go, what do you find yourself reaching for? What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite cigar brand? Do you have a favorite cigar?
No.
Daily smoke, special occasion smoke. What are you doing?
So daily smoke, I tend to go towards the $10 to $15 range. In the state of Florida, we get cigars pretty darn well. And like I said, I'm in Cigar City, so I love JC Newman. Like, weirdly, love JC Newman. I love the Brickhouse Maduro. I love the Brickhouse Connecticut. Those two cigars I could grab all day, every day. Even some of their like cutting room floor stuff is darn good for the price. I gravitate on a daily basis. The Undercrown Maduro, one of my favorites. The Shade, the Sun Grown, all three of those are awesome. I really, 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 really like a Room 101, something like a Doomsayer, any of them. And then I love Caldwell Eastern Standard Sun Grown, especially with a rye old fashioned, because it just becomes creamy, right?
Yeah.
Special occasion cigars. I mean, the Alma Fuerte from Plasencia is right there. Like, I love. I could spend $25, $30 on a stick and not be mad that I just sat there for 2 hours enjoying a cigar. I really have a fondness for the LFD Andalusian Bull. Whenever I get my hands on one, or whenever I see one, I pick one up. And then, of course, we have Grand Cathedral cigars. So I would be remiss to not say Opus, or anything from Arturo Fuentes. So,
yeah,
absolutely,
those are excellent choices. And
it was way too many.
What I'm thinking is going to be my final pour of the night, because I need to slow down, is
1910.
Yeah, 1920.
Oh, 1920. My favorite. Style. Out of the Whiskey Road, that's my favorite one. I
love this bottle. I've been nursing this bottle for so long because I just don't want it to run out. So you finish that.
I'll buy you one for your birthday.
Oh.
I don't even know if I have mine anymore.
But I'm thinking. I mean, I gotta ask you guys. Do you think it's time?
I keep telling you, Matt, I don't wear a watch anymore.
Oh, that's right. I do wear a watch.
You got the time. Okay.
It is time. It is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos. And as always, Numero de los Muertos is brought to us by our friends at Smoke Inn.
Honestly, agree with the GOAT to tell you about Smoke Inn's Cigar of the Month Club. Every month, I personally handpick 5 premium cigars. Another great feature is our Double Down Club. With a simple check mark, you can get double the great selections every month and save $10. Every month, there's a special discount code where if you like any of the selections, you can get them at a special discounted rate for our Cigar of the Month Club members. We've made it super simple. All you gotta do is log into your account. There's a little green button there. If it's green, you're active. You want to take a break, you're going out of town, simply hit the button and you'll deactivate your membership. We get the stuff out on the 28th of every month. Our membership bills on the 28th, and we get every member's package out on the 28th if it's a shipping date. All delivered to your door for $34.95. 5 great reasons on what makes Smoking Cigar of the Month Club the best club out there. Check it out. Peace.
All right, here we go. Numero de los Muertos. This is episode 244. Andrew will be back momentarily. So Ryan, to give you the lowdown on Numero de los Muertos, this is the weirdest segment probably on any podcast about any subject. The number of the dead ones. Essentially, I am going to give a number, and you, along with Justin, Andrew, and our viewers in the comments, are going to have to break down via some sort of 20 questions type system what was the cause of death for this number of people. It's strange, it's morbid, it's odd, but it's absolutely our viewers and listeners' favorite segment of every single show. So the number, and this,
please tell me it's not one.
It's not one.
Okay,
actually.
thank you.
I branched. I've been doing.
He's been trying to move on to bigger and better things. You're saying.
Yeah, I've been.
Okay,
So Ryan, for the last few months, I'd say I've been sort of chickening out and just going with like the oddest of the odd, where the number is just one. But this week I was like, no, I got to get out of that funk of
Okay.
just doing the number one. So
Yeah.
the number this week is approximately
1.5.
10,000.
Okay. 10,000. That's a big one. That's
Ooh,
the biggest one we've ever
So
done. probably.
approximately 10,000
Okay.
people
Whoa.
per year
Okay.
die from this globally.
Is it disease based? He's got a look.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no.
I know it's weird.
David
yes,
Floyd says falling in a well.
it's not falling in a well.
Does it have to do with animals?
Animals are involved.
Jaws' first kill in 1970 just died. I don't know what that meant. But
Bee stings.
It is not bees.
no. Hospital is involved.
Hospitals would be involved, I guess, at some point during the process, but it's not a contributing factor to the muertos.
Operations gone awry.
No.
Does it have to?
Yes.
Does it have to do with birds?
Birds are not involved.
Tony Hagen from Crux says mad cow disease.
Tony, it is not mad cow disease.
Tom D says food poisoning.
It is not food poisoning.
Is it a workplace accident?
This would not be a workplace accident.
Is it outdoors, indoors? I mean, these people are dying from something. huh?
Outdoors or indoors, there's no data on that.
Rabies,
Not rabies.
stampede.
It's not a stampede. I don't think 10,000 people.
That's a lot for a stampede.
Running
Yeah.
the bowls, maybe or something.
And this is worldwide.
This is worldwide.
Hoof and mouth.
Not hoof and mouth.
So is this? It's kind of a disease, but it's not a disease.
It's a.
Is it contractual? Like, does it you contract it from an animal?
You contract it from something.
Something. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
some creature.
Not a snake attack.
Not
Is
snake.
it like Zika?
I said mosquito.
Not-
I don't know if-
Malaria.
Okay.
That would be malaria, right?
It's not
Malaria.
one. It's not one particular disease that's listed, but there is one particular creature that spreads many different types of
Is it
illnesses.
a bat.
So we're looking for the creature.
A bat.
It's not a
So
bat.
it's a creature.
Creature.
Is it a mammal?
It's not a mammal.
Oh.
Is it a marsupial?
It's not a marsupial.
Do you know what a marsupial is?
a kangaroo?
Marsupial is
Is it a kangaroo?
well, a kangaroo is a marsupial.
Yes.
A
Okay, yeah, you're on the right track.
Our marsupial is
A wombat.
is an animal that carries its young in a pouch.
Yes.
Okay. Jellyfish?
Not jellyfish.
Is it in the ocean?
Not an ocean dwelling animal.
So this is freshwater.
It's not a water dwelling animal.
Oh, okay.
Is it a reptile?
It's not a it's not a reptile.
Jeez, what do we
What
got
the hell is
left?
left? Is it like a raccoon?
For a second, I thought you said is
That's
it,
a mammal.
Oh yeah,
Right,
it's
not a mammal.
Ryan. For a second, I thought you said is it erectile? I was like,
We're Skip Martin there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no one said anything sexually based.
Not yet. Not yet.
not yet.
Wait, you wait. Now that
Give
you
it
said
time.
that. Hornets.
It is not hornets. It's not
Fire
fire ants. It's not spiders.
No, none of that.
Is it insect at all?
It is insect.
Oh,
Okay, that helps.
Ticks.
Ticks.
It is not ticks.
Oh,
Parasites.
No.
Okay. So it is an insect.
It's a particular type of insect, a particular type of bug.
Found all over the world, or
Um,
just certain climates.
this says
Is it found in Minnesota?
it is not found in Minnesota.
Okay. Not tapeworm. Let's see.
Central and South America.
Horse flies.
bot flies.
Bot flies. Those are scary.
Not bot flies, not horse
Yeah, no,
flies,
thank you.
not tapeworms.
Does it fly?
It
Give me a second.
I don't know.
Okay. Scorpion.
Not a scorpion.
Hmm.
I almost did scorpions tonight, but no.
Wait, you said it doesn't fly?
I don't know. That's so, I know it's so terrible, but I
How do
don't
you
know.
Not know.
It doesn't say in the text, and you can't tell from the photograph whether.
Okay.
Is it so this insect, does it bite you? Is that how you get sick and die
Yes.
from it? So it
Yes.
bites you. You don't like ingest it.
It spreads disease through its bite.
It's not an ant.
It's not ants.
Okay.
But it does start with the letter A. I'll give you that.
Why are you looking at me, Andrew? I'm like,
It's not termites.
With an A.
With an A. An insect that starts with an A. You're going to say it and we're all going to go, son of a.
Well, I'll say that I had never heard of this insect before, but I'll give a huge hint that it is very aptly named.
Rich,
based on what we're talking about right now.
That does start with the A. I'll give you that, Rich.
Rich,
but...
it's not anal beads. That's
Rich wins.
That'd be a lot of people dying from that.
Rich.
Yeah, a lot.
Rich, why do your anal beads bite?
He's got those special beads.
You need a new anal bead.
I was just gonna say he needs a new adult store too.
Yeah.
Stop buying stuff on Wish.
Let's see.
No more adult toy purchases on Temu.
Oh boy.
Oh.
So it starts with that since Raul wasn't here. I got you, Rich.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Raul. Yeah.
All right. So
So much for your big hint, Matt.
Yeah.
all right. So I'm gonna reveal.
It's going to be like an Aberdeen, and we're going to go, what the hell is that?
Here's the text from the article from discover.com. Wildlife. Another insect that spreads disease and death through its bite is the aptly named assassin bug.
The thing looks nasty too.
Some species of this Central and South American true bug are responsible for spreading Chagas disease, another tropical parasitic disease that kills approximately 10,000 people per year globally.
Jesus.
The species that do this are also often called kissing bugs, as they tend to bite people's faces as they sleep.
See, I've heard of kissing bugs. I've never heard of assassin bugs.
There's the...
Yeah, Andrew would have got it right, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Let me make that bigger real quick. Hold up. There we go.
I will take Minnesota climate over kissing bugs.
Yeah, I'll take Minnesota climate any day of the week.
Anything that can kill you in Australia.
Yeah.
Hold up. How many people die from shark attacks a year? Because why are we afraid of those?
We did shark attacks early on in the show, and the number was pretty low.
That's what I'm saying.
I think more people die from lightning strikes than shark attacks.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Wild.
I think more people die from vending machines falling on them than die from shark attacks. Seriously. So,
because you hear about shark attacks, and it's not that often.
Yeah,
because it's news.
Yeah. So that was this week's Numero de los Muertos.
That was fun.
All right, let's jump into the lightning round brought to us by our friends at J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and the American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 113-year-old El Reloj cigar factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com. All right, Ryan. So these are some quick non-cigar related questions.
Okay.
If you were about to get into a fight, what would your soundtrack music be?
Oh God, it would be that Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
That's hype right there.
That is. I mean, that'll get anybody fired up.
Right.
Basically, I like that. All right. So in the world of fast food, what is, in your opinion, what is the most overrated fast food and the most underrated fast food out there?
You're going to get me in trouble right now. The most overrated food in America for fast food is Whataburger. And I don't care what anybody says.
Okay.
Texas people hype it up. It's not good. With that being said, the most underrated, I'm gonna give it to Checkers or Rally, whichever one you guys have.
We got a couple of those up here, Checkers. Right?
Yeah.
Both of those are fantastic.
Few and far
Checkers,
between
Rally good.
up here.
Yeah,
I haven't had rallies in forever, but I always loved it.
Yeah,
Always loved it. I've never had Whataburger in my life.
Yeah.
So
Whataburger's good.
You're not missing anything.
Checkers. I mean, they got their fries you can buy at the store now.
Dude, we have Culver's.
we have Culver's.
So if you're gonna go burger, you got to go
Culver's is outstanding. If
Culver's is great, but I don't consider that fast food.
Oh,
If
really?
if I have to wait in the parking lot in your drive-through, that's not.
Yeah,
fun.
You still order standing up.
that's the thing. They always have the drive-through, and you never get your food right away.
You got to give me a number.
Yeah,
Like,
take a
come
number and go sit and wait for 20 more minutes.
Okay, so is
Right.
Chick-fil-A fast food?
Do they have a
I don't-
drive-through? That's basically our criteria for is it fast food? Is do they have a drive-through?
Yes, they
And
do.
Chick-fil-A
Yeah,
does have a
okay.
drive-through.
Yeah, but you still have to wait.
You still do have to wait, but
Not everywhere.
the criteria that we use on the show is do they have a drive-through? So,
Okay,
I mean,
fine.
technically, any place
And Culver's is fast food.
Culver's is technically fast food.
Then that may actually be my replacement for Checkers then, because Culver's is delicious.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
Oh,
They're
man.
they're
Butter burger
Ev-
deluxe.
every time. But here's the thing for me: every time we go to Culver's, and my family loves Culver's. It's ridiculous. I think we go there at least twice a month.
Yeah.
Every time I go there, without fail, I order the exact same thing, and it's not a burger. I get the pork tenderloin sandwich with onion rings and a Coke Zero every single time. It is
Mm.
outstanding.
Weirdo.
I know. Justin, hit him with our favorite question.
All right, Ryan, you ready?
Oh Lord.
The zombies are coming.
Okay.
You get 3 people to be on your zombie apocalypse survival squad. From we'll say the whiskey industry. Let's do that since what you're in. 3 people from the
Oh,
whiskey
geez.
industry to be part of your zombie apocalypse survival squad. Who do you pick and why?
All right. So the first one's easy because he drives fast cars. He has many guns. And he enjoys cigars and has some good whiskey. And that's Aaron. Oh God, I'm gonna mess up his last name. Chepnik from Smoke Wagon. Just all you have to do is follow his Instagram page. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. Number 2 would be. That's going to be a hard one because there's a lot of good people in the whiskey world, but none that I really know like super.
They don't have to
personally.
be good. They have to be big and strong.
Well, I know that.
Or big
Look,
and slow.
Can I pick like content creators and stuff like people in the
Absolutely.
whiskey?
You want.
Okay, great. One big pikey, my boy Ryan in Ohio.
Yeah.
You said big and strong. That's immediately who I went to. Pikey's like 6'5", 300 pounds, all muscle, power lifter, could probably break anybody in half. So I'm going to go that route. Number 3.
Who's your sacrificial lamb?
Who do I throw to the zombie? Look, first things first, I'm going because if we have to run, I'm not running anywhere. Like, the only thing that runs in my family is diabetes, and that's not even that's a joke and also not a joke. God, number 3, I'm gonna have to go with. I will have to say, I don't know what I need somebody smart on my team. Keep us away from the zombies. So
There you
if I'm
go.
going to go with somebody smart on my team, I'm going to go with probably Matt Ward from Penelope Bourbon
I like it.
because he thinks outside the box. He's got some style. So those are the 3.
I
2
love
people in
it.
the whiskey world, 1 person in content creation influencing.
Fantastic. Let's
By the
jump
way, I'm
into-
dead.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no. I'm sorry. I'm dead in that situation. By the way, I'm the weakest link.
I am too. I'm just gonna sit back and hope the zombies want a cigar.
Yes, I'm
Right.
going to be a beard model, Rich or George.
Rich, that was the first thing I said when Justin walked in. I said, that beard is reaching epic
It's getting there.
proportions.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Pretty soon we're gonna see like woodland creatures.
Hopefully, I'll trip over like that one guy that died on Número de los Muertos.
Yeah, we
you know?
did the Numero de los Muertos where a guy died because he tripped over his beard.
His 4-foot-long beard that fell out of his pocket down the stairs. In the middle of the
Running
fire.
from zombies.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
literally
running
Oh,
from zombies, no.
Jesus.
not running. Yeah.
Oh,
All right, let's jump into this week's notable smokables brought to us by Don Doroteo Cigars, a brand with both purpose and passion dedicated to creating change from within. By developing their own land, they are able to own the entire process throughout the life cycle of the plant. They methodically carry out each step, ensuring that the final product is of the finest quality. The new Salt of the Earth lines, Piedra Viva and Piedra Angular, are available now at Don Doroteo retail partners. Visit dondoroteo.com to learn more. So, Ryan, what we do each week on the show for Notable Smokables is each of us name a cigar that we smoked recently that stood out to us. Now, this could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades that we smoked for the first time in a very long time, or this could be a cigar that's brand new that you smoked for the first time ever. So is there something you can think of now, Ryan, that you smoked recently that really stood out to you?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was the last one that I smoked. Literally the Cavalier Tres Delincuentes Maduro. I shouldn't have been surprised because it's a Cavalier. So it should have been 100%.
Sebastian is super cool too.
He's
got an epic beard.
Yeah, Sebastian.
I've never met him in person.
He's another epic beard guy. He's got a massive, beautiful beard.
See, then I would remember that if I met him. But like I did not expect it to be as chocolatey as it, would have thought it would have been. How do I say that? So it really blew me away. Plus the pull on it. I'm a weird, like, if the pull is
draw
just
is very
right,
important. Yeah.
It was just so, it wasn't too soft, too hard. It was just perfect.
I love it. Justin, what was your notable this week?
See, Mother's Day, that was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
No, we were at the had a little fish fry, had my buddy I work with over, met the family and smoked a couple cigars, but one that stood out to me was the OG Room 101 Death Bucket from like 3 or 4 years ago. So still got a couple of those left, but those are aged quite well after like 4 or 5 years.
Nice. Yeah, Matt Booth, Room 101. Good stuff.
He's got a beard too, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He plays around with it. He'll mix it up. He'll go full beard, then he'll go just like the long, like super long goatee.
Oh, maybe that's
he mixes it up. Yeah. And he'll go from like just long the like faux hawk to like long shoulder length. He's got like the Jesus hair now.
Yeah, he's a character.
What was your notable this week, Andrew?
I don't know if it was this week. It was
or recently.
Let's go back a couple weeks. I would say the Aventura Chancellor, the new one from it was Henderson and another guy named Adrian.
Yeah.
One of their East Coast guys. Worked for quite some time on it, I believe. But I cleaned Omar out. It was pretty good.
That's a nice new blend from them, definitely.
Really enjoyed that.
For my notable, I actually kind of went back old school. I went back to the old. I mean, it's not like old, but the old My Father Flor de las Antillas. And that got like Cigar of the Year. I don't know how many 15, 12 years ago, however long ago it was. That cigar is still
so good.
I just love that cigar. It's like you go into a shop, you buy that cigar. That's one of the things we're so key on is consistency. And you go into a shop today, you buy that cigar, and it's going to taste like it tasted 7, 8, 10, 12 years ago. And it's such a consistent blend. I just love it. And I bought that cigar from one of our local shops recently. So it wasn't like one I had sitting in my humidor aging for years. I just happened to pick one up because I said, I haven't had one of these in a while. And
you were reminded.
Still so good.
That's a cigar that sits in my head rent free.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's so good.
It's just one of those blends that you just can't help but come back to. All right, let's jump into Coming Attractions. Coming Attractions brought to us by our friends at Hoagland Insurance, and they are excited to serve and educate any new customers and give existing customers a refresher. Whether it's a business policy, auto insurance, home policy, or life insurance, if you are currently insured or just looking for a quote, Tony Hoagland and his team would love to create a personal price plan just for you. Mention How About That Cigar when you make your first appointment, and Tony will have a free cigar just for you. For more information, please call 763-421-4900 or visit champlaininsurance.com. All right, next week on the show, we have none other than JP from Peter James Co. Very excited to have him on. Outstanding custom handmade leather goods for keeping your cigars.
And we got a surprise unboxing.
We have a surprise. That's right.
Sending,
we got a surprise unboxing on the show.
Yeah.
And JP himself is going to be on the show to talk about the leather goods that he makes and his partnership with Luciano Cigars and the new line of cigars that he has with his name on them.
Outstanding cigars. We had one with Luciano. Those were delicious.
Absolutely.
Even though it was the trade show, it still stood through at the end of the day, and it was excellent. So,
definitely.
So
Ryan, first of all, thank you so much, brother, for being on the show, man. We had an absolute blast learning about whiskey and pairings from you, brother.
Absolutely. Anytime. I had a blast. Thanks for having me on.
If you would please give our viewers and listeners an idea, where is the best place for them to keep up with everything you have going on?
Everywhere. If there's social media, I'm probably on it. You can find me at That One Dude Ryan on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. There's also on Facebook, there is a for my Tuesday night show where I'll repost it on Facebook called Talk Whiskey to Me. So you can see me every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on TikTok and Instagram. And then, of course, go to the link in my bio. You can find me everywhere else.
Fantastic. Brother, we had a blast. Thanks so much for being with us.
No, thank you guys for having me on. It was awesome.
All right, viewers and listeners,
Thanks,
guys, thank you so much for being the best part of How About That Cigar Live. We appreciate you guys so much for being with us always on our favorite social media platforms. If you have questions for any of us, you can email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Be sure to click and follow all of our things, the TikTok, the Instagram.
How active are you on
X.
TikTok?
Not as active as I need to be, but I need to work on that. So just find us on all your favorite social media platforms. You'll find us at HBT Cigar. And thank you guys as always. Again, if you're an audio podcast listener, thank you so much for making How About That Cigar a part of your regular audio podcast rotation. And of course, as always, until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks, guys. Any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium cigars.